Judiciary Committee member Matt Gaetz of Florida with this side of the equation. Your response to what you just heard from Congressman Swalwell, first of all.
Well, I think it was a tough day for Democrats in the House Judiciary Committee. They thought that bringing us into the faculty lounge of America's law schools would somehow motivate Americans to support an impeachment that they haven't, to large part. Over the last 3 weeks, Democrats have seen public opinion for their impeachment effort diminish, not enhance. And I don't think that you saw anything today that's going to help them in that regard.
Well, you know, one of the things that I think was kind of an interesting moment here, and it may seem, sort of, you called it mean, and I'm going to play your response in a second, was when we heard from Professor Carlin talking about how the president isn't a king, and then she made sort of a snide remark about Barron Trump, the president's son, and you came back at her with this. Watch. It's coming.
When you invoke the president's son's name here, when you try to make a little joke out of referencing Barron Trump, that does not lend credibility to your argument. It makes you look mean. It makes you look like you're attacking someone's family, the minor child of the president of the United States.
She later apologized for that, but I think that, beyond the obvious, insensitivity of what she said, is that it revealed emotion. And I think it started to unravel as we went through the afternoon in terms of where these professorial constitutional scholars were coming from.
These were not dispassionate people, invited by the Democrats at least, analyzing the law and the facts. They're advocates. As I pointed out, the Democrat witnesses, a majority of them are donors to Democratic campaigns. They have written extensively about impeachment. You even had the gentleman from Harvard writing articles that the president should be impeached for criticizing CNN, for pardoning Sheriff Joe Arpaio, and for several of his tweets about wiretapping. And so it seems as though there would have been no impeachment theory that they wouldn't have supported.
Let's play this from the Harvard law professor Noah Feldman on the abuse of power, which was really the thrust of their argument today. Watch this.
High crimes and misdemeanors are abuses of power and of public trust connected to the office of the presidency. On the basis of the testimony and the evidence before the House, President Trump has committed impeachable high crimes and misdemeanors by corruptly abusing the office of the presidency.
All right, so looking at it from the Democrat perspective for a moment here, they look at your line of questioning and say, yeah, so why didn't you defend the president on this issue of abuse of power? You spent most of your time going after them as partisans and trying to undermine their argument that way, but you didn't try to dismantle their argument that the president abused his power. Why not?
Because I only had 5 minutes, Martha, but I think that there is a lot of evidence to support the president's reasonable and well-founded suspicion that there was corruption in the Ukraine. I think the best evidence probably came from George Kent, who said that Burisma was so corrupt that our embassy had to pull out of a public-private partnership to avoid any association with them. In fact, the Obama administration was so concerned about Hunter Biden's association with Burisma that when they were prepping ambassadors for Senate confirmation, they had to spend special time on this issue. And I would suggest that Professor Feldman's argument would be more credible if he wasn't so willing to reflexively support impeachment in every case of legitimate exercise of presidential power.
Well, I just thought it was interesting. And I was sitting there watching most of the coverage today, and I saw very little in terms of an effort on the part of Republicans to try to dismantle their arguments on substance. So,
well, I mean, I made substantive arguments. I referenced in my 5 minutes the testimony of Taylor, of Hale, of Vindman, of Hill, and I pointed out where a lot of the undergirding of the argument that there had been an abuse was not based on firsthand knowledge. It was based on people's perception and belief about what was going on around them, not what they had witnessed and observed.
All right, and the schedule, from what we're hearing from Eric Swalwell, we're never going to hear from anybody who was any closer to it than we have so far. So, Matt Gaetz, Congressman, thank you. Always good to have you here. Thanks for being here tonight.